So there's obviously a lot of interest in the kind of work you do.
There is, and the fact that I'm happy to be public about it.
Yeah.
Because there are many exorcists that prefer to remain anonymous, but I've always thought that if the church doesn't talk about it, then how do people know where to turn to get the true help that they need?
Is it strange for you when people, like I was looking at the Vice video, and they've got all this kind of haunted music and people flailing on the ground. It's all very dramatic. And it seems like they interviewed you in a dark room with and I'm sure they set all that up. Do you feel like they're kind of not mocking it, but kind of making light of it in trying to kind of get clicks? Does that make sense? Or
yeah, well, I think they take and put their own twist on it. But I've always been very open to talking to many different outlets. Even one that some people might consider to be a little suspect or maybe mocking what the church believes and teaches. But again, I think it's always important just to meet people where they're at, present the information of the church, and what people do with that ultimately is up to them.
When were you ordained a priest?
June the 1st of 1991. So
Fantastic.
This is my 30th anniversary coming up.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
A diocesan priest?
I was ordained for the Archdiocese of Indianapolis.
Okay. And when did you have an interest to become an exorcist, or did somebody ask you? How did that work?
They always say that if you volunteer for the job, you shouldn't have it.
Is that right?
The Archdiocese of Indianapolis has always had a stably appointed exorcist. Even when it fell out of practice in many dioceses in the United States, Indianapolis continued to have a priest designated for this ministry. Ironically, he was the pastor of the parish where I attended grade school.
Oh, interesting.
And then he passed away in 2005, and after he passed away, the Archbishop of Indianapolis was looking for a replacement. So most of us were kind of trying to stay under the radar. And I happened to be at the Archbishop's residence one afternoon for a meeting, and I was planning to go on sabbatical in a few months after that. And the bishop looked at me and said, "I'm appointing you to be the exorcist." He goes, "I have no idea what I'm asking you to do, but when you're on sabbatical, you can study this. So let's move on to our meeting now." And I think I was just in shock.
Wow. Now, would that mean that you would have to give up your parish or some other role that you were doing in the diocese? No.
Diocesan
so
priest.
Here's an extra bunch of work.
That's exactly
dealing
right.
with demons, in addition to the people you already have to deal with. Great.
Yeah, so I had no idea really what I was getting myself into, and certainly remembered stories of Monsignor John Ryan was the exorcist in Indianapolis. And
he's the priest who taught you in grade school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the parish, St. Anthony Parish in Indianapolis. And then he passed away back in 2005. So when I arrived in Rome in 2006 for my sabbatical, I was living at the North American College, and then talked to the rector there and said, "Hey, what do I do? Can you direct me?"
Yeah.
And he directed me to Father Gary Thomas,
yes,
the exorcist there in San Jose. And Father Gary's become a good friend and a good colleague in the ministry, and he introduced me to the Franciscan priest that he was working with. And that Franciscan priest was happy to allow me to come and kind of learn from him. The church says that the best way to become an exorcist is the apprenticeship model. And Father Carmine, at the time, had been an exorcist for 25 years. He was trained by Father Candido Amentini, who also trained Father Gabriel Amorth, who became the chief exorcist there in Rome. So I was in Rome for 3 months, and then Father Carmine allowed me to sit in on 40 exorcisms while I was there.
So this was during your sabbatical in Rome. So you were just going for a rest. You weren't going to study how to be an exorcist, correct?
Correct. But
while you were there, you actually sat in on the exorcisms, knowing that you were now the appointed exorcist.
Exactly.
So why did the bishop assign you? Surely there's some sort of criteria he looks for in a priest.
Well, the rite itself says that the priest should be known for his holiness, his piety. That's why the bishop and I would laugh over the years. I'm like, come on.
Really?
Why me? Or I would
sure
say to
that's
him,
not true.
a lot of the younger priests told me they would like to be the exorcist. And the bishop would say, "I worry about anybody that would want the job."
Now, why is that? Because I could see why you would worry about somebody who wants to be a bishop, let's say, because they have a power that they could abuse and it could go to their head. But being an exorcist, I mean, I don't know. I guess probably not a lot of power necessarily comes with that role. Why would you be worried about someone who wanted to be the exorcist of the diocese?
It could be. It could go to your head because, again, there's a lot of people that will reach out to you.
Okay, yeah.
I currently get about 2,000 calls a year.
Wow.
From people all over the United States, even other countries, that believe they're up against the demonic and are looking for help from the church. So you have to be well grounded to be able to deal with that volume of calls. Obviously, I think I probably receive more than the average exorcist simply because my name is publicly
You're on Cameron Batuzzi's show.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So because I'm publicly known, and then I take the calls and then try to direct people to someone in their local area. So I like to network with other exorcists.
Does every diocese have an exorcist?
Technically, yes, because the bishop is the exorcist.
Okay.
So the local bishop is the exorcist by virtue of his episcopal ordination. And then at his discretion, he can appoint any priest to do an exorcism, or he can appoint one or more of his priests on a stable basis. So when I was appointed back in 2005, I became one of about 12 stably appointed exorcists in the United States. Today, there are about 125. The exact number really isn't known because, again, some prefer to remain anonymous, but the colleagues and connections that I have. So we try to work together, especially here in the Midwest. And I belong to the International Association of Exorcists. Okay. It's a group of about 700 priests and their helpers from throughout the world who gather in Rome every other year. We were supposed to meet last year, but it was canceled due to COVID. It's scheduled for this year, but it'll probably get canceled again. So then hopefully we'll be meeting in September of next year. And it's really an opportunity to come together for ongoing formation and just a sense of fraternity.
Yeah. Yeah, do you find it difficult having these profound experiences, which I'm sure you've had and which we'll get to, that other priests in your diocese don't necessarily relate to? And so it must be helpful then to speak to other exorcists who've had similar experiences. Because
we are on the same journey, so to speak, so it's easier to have these conversations. Because in addition to being the exorcist, I'm also the pastor of 2 parishes in my diocese. So probably half of my time is dedicated to exorcism ministry, and then the other half of the time goes to the 2 parishes that I have.
Thank you for watching this clip. You can click here to watch the full episode, and I want to say a big thanks to our sponsors and to our amazing patrons for making all of this possible. Please do us a favor before you go, click that subscribe button and then the bell, and that way YouTube will be forced to let you know every time we put out a new episode.